So as we continue talking recruiting, we now need to turn our attention to California, where Lincoln Riley and the USC Trojans not only had themselves a weekend where they get a win along the offensive line, something we need to talk about, but they extend that winning streak into this week, where today USC gets a massive win on the defensive side of the football for one of the best prospects in the class of 2024, four-star defensive back Dakoda Fields. And finally, we need to talk about an interesting battle that USC is in, a battle that personally I think is going to give us all fireworks for the nation's #1 running back Taylor Tatum, as USC goes toe-to-toe with several schools including the Oklahoma Sooners and the Michigan Wolverines, something we've got to break down. But before we can, as always, y'all know the drill, I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe USC can get a big win over Oklahoma for the nation's #1 running back? Let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below, as those interactions seem small. They are massive to content creators such as myself, and both getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And we need to start with the win that USC got along the offensive line this weekend. A win for three-star offensive tackle out the state of Colorado, Hayden Treater, who stands 6'6", 300 pounds. And this is interesting because if you asked me the biggest need for USC recruiting along the offensive side of the ball in the class of 2024, my answer would probably be the offensive line. Yes, USC got 4 additions in the class of 2023, but you never argue with more depth along the offensive line, especially when we really dive into that position where I talk about this time and time again. It is really difficult making the transition from high school offensive lineman to college offensive lineman. To give you a quick analogy as to why, in high school, you could line up and you could be blocking me, who's standing 5'11", 185 pounds. That's not really indicative of how good of an offensive lineman you are, because you should be able to win that battle fairly easily if I'm coming off of the edge. However, when you get to the college level, you're going up against a guy that was very likely the #1 player on his team, very likely the best prospect in his city. So the baseline athleticism and the baseline size, speed, strength, and understanding of the game, it's totally different, and especially along that offensive line. So I'm never surprised when I see guys come in and sit a year, even 5-star offensive tackles out of high school. It makes complete sense when they come, sit a year, get acclimated to the college game, let their bodies get right, and then go from there. So I'm super interested to see the evolution of this USC offensive line. We also need to dive into who the offensive line coach is, and that's Josh Henson. Because whenever Henson was at A&M, he inherited an offensive line that was really young, and many people in college football thought that that could be an area that really hindered that A&M offense. However, at the end of the year, when we really dove into what the Aggies did well, that offensive line played surprisingly well despite their age, and they had them in several games and really held their own against some of the better defensive fronts in college football. So Josh Henson has put together some interesting offensive lines, and I do think this is a good addition. Look, any addition you get along the offensive line is keeping you safe, adding in depth. And speaking of keeping you safe, I want to talk to you about today's sponsor, Aura. Did you know that in 2022, the United States had its second worst year ever in terms of data compromises? And not only was it the second worst year in terms of data compromises, but there was a substantial amount of capital loss, coming in at $10.2 billion in 2022 alone, which is exactly why I'm so excited to talk with you all about today's sponsor, Aura. Anybody can find anything online, including your name, address, phone number, or even your relatives' information. And all of this is possible because data brokers selling your information to scammers, telemarketers, robocallers, or anybody that wants to learn more about you. But this is exactly where Aura comes in. Aura will help you identify these data brokers and submit opt-out requests on your behalf, and they will even opt you out of junk mail and telemarketing lists. If you use the link shown on screen and found in the description, Aura will hook it up with 2 free weeks so that you can see just how many people are after your data. Plus, Aura monitors your emails and passwords to see if they were involved in a data break and exposed on the dark web, and will give you recommendations on what to do. Aura has a VPN, a password manager, real-time credit and identity theft monitoring, internet parental controls, and protects your devices from malware. It truly is the one-stop shop for user protections. Plus, they offer different bundles so that you can either take care of yourself or the whole family at an awesome rate. So let Aura keep you safe. Go to the link in my description to claim your 2 free week trial and start protecting yourself online. Once again, go to aura.com/ATTS to start protecting yourself online with a 2-week free trial, link in the description. Thank you so much to Aura, and back to the video. But now we need to turn our attention to the defensive side of the football, because Treater was not the only win Lincoln Riley and the Trojans would get. Far from it. Today, they get a massive addition on the defensive side of the ball. For 4-star defensive back Dakoda Fields, one of the top prospects in the class of 2024, a guy who comes in as a top 100 prospect in the nation regardless of position, specifically the number 78 player in the nation, the number 10 cornerback, and the number 10 player in the state of California. And I like this addition for several reasons. First and foremost, whenever we're talking about the future of USC, the conversation revolves around one area, and that's the defense. What steps will the defense take? Will the defense continue to get better? And one of the ways you can ensure your defense getting better, be able to add great talent in, and that's exactly what Dakoda Fields is. He stands 6'2", 175 pounds, so he already has that prototypical college size that everybody wants in their defensive backs nowadays. But we talked about the USC offensive line coach. Now we need to talk about the DB coach, Dante Williams, because whenever Lincoln Riley was hired at USC, whenever he retained Coach Williams, I said then and there that was probably one of the best moves he's made since he's became head coach of USC, and personally, I still feel that way. If you go click on Dante Williams' profile on 24/7 Sports and look at the guys he's successfully recruited, it's basically a blue chip 4-star and 5-star convention. He is an ace on the trail, and once again, he gets a big win for USC. So I'm super interested to see how he can continue contributing to the Trojans defense. He's the passing game coordinator on the defensive side of the ball now, and I'm going to be keyed into that Trojans secondary, a secondary that was able to generate interceptions last year. But now that Damani Jackson's going to be healthier, I'm super interested to see what work, what evolution we will see out of that Trojans defense, specifically in the secondary. But there is no questioning this is a massive win, a win that puts USC in the top 40 recruiting classes in the nation with nothing but time and opportunity in front of them and only 6 prospects in the class. And finally, we need to talk about the battle that I told all of you in the intro is sure to give us fireworks for the nation's number 1 running back, Taylor Tatum. And one of the reasons why I'm so interested in this battle is storylines. I talk about this all the time. Whenever 2 rivals go head-to-head for the same prospect, sign me up because I'm going to be interested. And though USC and Oklahoma aren't traditionally rivals, there are storylines there. That much there is no debate about, especially with the recent history between the 2 programs. So whenever USC and Oklahoma line up across from one another for a running back, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to be watching. Because USC running back coach Keel McDonald has found success in the state of Texas recruiting running backs, as he just got Joyner from Manor, Texas to go from the state of Texas to California. But we also need to acknowledge this. Oklahoma has an ace at recruiting at the running back coach, and that's DeMarco Murray. Because DeMarco Murray has an interesting pitch that he can levy that not many in college football can, not to the same degree. DeMarco Murray is an individual that can walk into any house in the nation, look at the recruit and look at their parents and say, I know exactly what you're feeling. I've been you. My parents were you. I know what it takes to be successful going from high school football to college football. I know what it takes to be successful on the college football level on a day-to-day basis. And finally, I know what it takes to make the jump from college football to the NFL, where you can have a long career, something that I was able to achieve. That's a pitch that's really hard to say no to, and the cherry on top of it all is when we look at the running backs he's coached and sent to the NFL, where he can say, not only have I sat in your shoes, not only have I done what you've done and gone to places you want to go, I've also shown that I can coach others to get to those places. That's an intriguing pitch. That's one that has got to carry some weight with it, and because of that, anytime DeMarco Murray walks in the living room, I'm interested to see how that battle will go. We also need to acknowledge that Michigan is in this battle, and we know what Michigan does with their running backs, as Blake Corum was setting college football on fire before that unfortunate injury. Taylor Tatum is the nation's #1 running back, and no matter how you slice it, whether we look at the 24/7 Sports composite or the 24/7 Sports ranking themselves, he comes in as a top 50 prospect. But the thing they agree on is that he is the nation's best running back. So this is a battle we have got to circle. He just came off of a visit to USC, and per all reports loved his time there, but he's set to visit OU June 9th, and that's something we're going to talk about as the date gets closer. But I can't wait to hear from all of you. Lincoln Riley and USC are starting off this week riding a high, and I'm interested to see what the summer brings for the Trojans. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.